But yeah, looks like we got some people coming in here now. Got about 10 in here. It was a long weekend, so I was kind of expecting. I was actually expecting some like lower volume last week, but some of the days, I mean, we had upwards of. I mean, there was very high volume on some of the futures trading I was looking at for NQ and SPY or ES. I mean, but this week, I think we'll see. I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of volatility based on that that Truth Social tweet we saw this morning out of nowhere,
Right.
which was that was crazy. I actually saw that there was I think a poly market bet that was a 99 to 1 chance of Trump saying something related to Allah. And it had money on it. So I think there was some sort of inside gig with that. So who knows? It doesn't really do anything for us to talk about that specifically, but more so of the effect of that tweet and potential for attack on Tuesday. I mean, right now we're seeing futures, at least looks like on NASDAQ is kind of booming. You'd think after something like that this morning, it might go the other way. So I think we're going to have an initial pump here, potential dump on open, and then just a lot of volatility this week. So I think it's going to be something
Yeah.
we're going to watch on the
It's
daily.
so it's so hard to predict. You know. I mean, is that right? 142 on the oil, US oil?
Is it that high? I haven't looked at oil.
Or
I
139?
saw the indexes are going up.
Yeah, it hit 142 right away. It's at 139 and some change now.
When is the last time it's been that high? Because I remember people figuring out when it was in the 120s, but 142, high 130s. I mean, that's insane. That's ludicrous.
Yeah, that's going back a ways too. Yeah, that's higher than the last 3 years, at least right away.
Oh man. I think it might just get higher too, depending. I mean, we'll see if there's some sort of resolution, but if there's not, and there's just continues to be tensions around the strait. I mean, we have reserves, we have a bunch of other things that can be put into play. It's 20% of the world's oil supply there, but I think the oil is going to keep climbing unless there's some sort of solution just off of guidance of that. I think, and there's going to be an effect on that. Headlines are going to be everywhere with it, and then oil is just going to keep spiking. It's something I definitely don't want to play because it's just so volatile. It could just liquidate you in a second. But there's definitely money to be made on it if you're risk averse or not risk averse.
Yeah, if
So,
you're willing to take the risk for sure. Man, it's just any tweet, any news event, it just seems so unpredictable. And with the questions about what might be insider stuff going on. I mean that's so far out of the ordinary. Just let me bet he says something about Allah or says, that's crazy, man.
I thought it was fake. I thought 4 different things I saw were fake. But then I was like, wait, no, it's real. I don't myself have Truth Social or anything like that, but I had multiple different sources confirming it was real, and I was like, that is just like
Yeah.
I would never have expected that. I was just like, it looks like it was definitely made up, but it was real, and I'm like, okay. I thought it was just so out of left field that I was thinking it had to have something to do with a prediction market bet. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's been a huge source of things with like leaked tech plans and other stuff where there's massive poly market or Kelshi bets from like these random wallets that were just created, just printing millions and millions of dollars. It's crazy, with like sports betting, yeah, the prediction markets, like that new era of I don't know I wouldn't call it investing, but I call it insider trading is kind of just running rampant over there because there's not a lot of overhead. I mean, I don't believe that the SEC is involved in that specifically. I mean, in some cases they probably are, but with how it works, I mean, that's going to be the new form of insider trading, uh, worse than it already is. So I think that's going to be a huge problem going forward. We'll have to see how government insight affects it, but I'm not expecting it to be something that's fixed soon.
Man, I honestly don't even know what to think about it. It's when you're betting on sports games and sporting events and now it's just about anything from the weather to actual politics. I mean, it's bad enough the temptation for insider stuff. You expect the game to be run on the up and up, and you're actually betting on an outcome uh, that's not rigged in any way. But with these prediction markets and the idea of crowdsourcing the prediction patterns of everything from interest rates to the weather to political events. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just it seems too rife for manipulation, and things are just manipulated so bad already. Whether it's just a hit piece put out by some group covering or some group of investors that likes to short, play the short side on things, and just hit research pieces are out there. Right on up to Jamie Dimon just dropping a couple of comments. Someone like that can really just move markets that way, and it's almost like the same people over and over on CNBC are coming on as the quote unquote experts. And um, yeah, it's a definitely a a no holds barred kind of an atmosphere out there right now, with the regulations coming down. And we hadn't even brought up crypto, and how that plays into it. Yeah, so it's tough enough just sort of trying to pick good companies and good stocks and navigate the market on just quasi normal stuff. When you throw in all of this unpredictability around oil and world events, geopolitics, it's getting difficult, man. you know?
Yeah, we gotta not use 0 hour as that platform. If when it gets big enough, not if, but when. We can't be out there putting out hit pieces on stuff. So bring it down. We gotta make sure things are going well. But that happened actually with Rich Tech Robotics. I was thinking there was a hit piece done on them saying they
Right.
didn't have to work with Microsoft when they did, and that absolutely just shot the stock down for like $5.50. And I had some really nice leaps on it, and just sent it kind of worked in a snowball effect with that, and then just the market turning bearish and just absolutely destroyed the stock in the short term. So yeah, those things can be really powerful. Those like hit pieces just from like random groups.
Yeah.
Especially when it's those trying to short it or keep it down. I mean, I'm sure Ondas has had a couple of those come their way too. I remember that used to happen a lot where they would be overshadowed by Red Cat, even though the market cap was completely different and just the coverage was, and then the sales were off. I was like, what's going on here? Or Red Cat was just getting all of the press while Ondas was just kind of sitting quiet.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
there's 2 so different on the companies, you know? I know Red Cat's trying to, diversify now and form more and more partnerships, but I looked at 'em more like a one-trick pony, with just a one-way attack drone, um, kinda first to market kinda thing. But, yeah, they got a lot of press and, overshadowed. But they weren't into the ground robotics and the network surveillance and the network side of the business, the whole stack that Ondas was building. So it's like apples and oranges, really, 2 different companies just kind of lumped together as drone companies.
it's because I mean, people don't really understand the sector at all, and it's so fresh that they think all of these things are one to one. But then you have
Right.
companies producing UAS for multi different things, or um, UGS as well, ground stuff, and then also the maritime stuff. Like, there's so many different companies in this drone world, and they all kind of group them together. When yeah, they all do
Mhm.
different stuff. There's UAS, um, so much stuff, and I think as people understand them more, we'll see a broader retail investment and then more money flowing into the sector as a whole. So I'm happy we're early on and to kind of understand the differences. But right now, it's tough. It's like pulling teeth trying to explain the differences because it seems like a lot of analysts are uninformed on like what they actually do.
Yeah.
Kramer, he's like, I'm not investing in Ondas. I don't understand it. It's like, come on, man. It's like you gotta pick
That'll
up a
be the
book.
yeah. That'll be the case until he does. It's like, yeah, like, his love-hate relationship with Palantir, you know what I mean? He still doesn't quite want to say great things about Palantir, but he's been drug along kicking and screaming,
Yeah,
at some point, he can't ignore the stock price. But it does get boring when he's just, if, I guess maybe it's a smaller, niche type business. It's not, um, at least not at the moment, not a massive industry, that dominates the whole field, like, like an Nvidia and chips, or other type companies that he likes to cover. All your, he's in a little in a lot of ways. It's sort of like what Eric said before about how, as retail investors, you got an advantage on being able to move early on smaller companies. He's got his hands tied too. He can't really um, get too far out there, stick his neck too far out, for really outsized gainers in the small cap space. Sort of got to stay in his lane with an approved list of companies, so to speak, because he really just sort of recycles the same ones over and over.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder too, man. He's just talking his book. He's got his own investment club kind of
Oh,
thing, and some of those are hurting. Some of those software companies, like Workday and Salesforce. I mean, they've been like cut in half in the last year, and that's a big change for companies like that. I don't look for that to improve either, by the way, with the whole AI thing and the as good as it's supposed to be on coding and writing software.
yeah, the AI thing's interesting. I think we're a little bit capped out now. I think that there's going to be we're going to need some new breakthroughs, like in the technology, to really bump it up to the next level. But I think right now it's just a lot of buzzwords, and they're not selling what they used to. If you looked at like 20 to 2024, if anything had the word AI in it, any kind of startup, anything, that it was going
Yeah,
to pump. Just because, oh, AI this, AI that, and people realized, oh, okay, it's just AI and it can do this, and okay, it's just doing this but in a different font. Like nothing's really changing. Nothing's crazily different. So I think we've kind of reached that potential ceiling for now, and that's not going to move the market like it once did. I think drones, though, will. I mean, if we look at that Swarmer IPO, obviously it wasn't priced very well because it went up a couple thousand% or something. But
right.
I got all the hype. I mean, it was low float, but I think that might be one of the new buzzwords is, okay, new drone company, new drone this, new drone that, new autonomous vehicle here, there. That might actually move markets now. So I'm excited for drone companies. Uh, let's see. Today. I mean, I think I wanted to let the people know that missed our last live stream that we are working on getting an interview with with Velatus.
Yep.
So we were on that earnings call. 0 Hour Group asked a question on the call, which was answered, which was super cool that you submitted. And I know we're working to go in there and probably do our next interview with them, unless our other ones that we're working on, potentially in Orlando, happen first. But that's
Right.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, really looking forward to that as well. Wish it were a little bit warmer, but hell, we'll just have to go back in the summertime again, and check on them halfway through the year or so. Um, but yeah, with the holiday weekend, I kind of figure, and the earnings call there on the first, and then going right into Easter for the holiday weekend. But we should be hearing back from them and have something get something firmed up this week, for when they could be available for that. Uh, I know that they are really looking to, along with a couple of other companies we're covering, looking to actually have a better communication channel through to retail investors, and sort of put themselves out there a little bit more to spread the word. So that's one reason we're here.
Absolutely. That's gonna be exciting to go out there too, especially when Canada is now in their business of kind of ramping up some drone infrastructure for defense and whatnot. Just with that 4x to their budget, I think it's going to be really exciting for some domestic companies over there, like Velatus, to really bump up potential revenue and whatnot, and just infrastructure locally there in Canada. So that's going to be really exciting to kind of, it's almost like interviewing, I feel like, Ondas a couple of years ago. So I think that's going to be interesting to just get in the ground level and see if we can maybe tour their facility and get maybe some camera shots and whatnot of their actual drones doing something would be really cool. So
Yeah,
I'll be
right on.
excited. Get our own drone up there and looking around the facility as well would be awesome.
Yeah,
Do you see what Laurent Savay said in chat as well regarding this? Is kind of going back to the Pauling market stuff with the derivative markets and how there's less essentially oversight and regulation outside of the SEC's control, which is really interesting. Um, I don't do any prediction market stuff. It's just too risky for me. A lot
yeah,
of it's rigged, so it just doesn't make sense for me to touch it. I do kind of like looking, to see if there's like a big bet on something random that's like very much not likely to happen, but there's like a huge amount of money on it. It's like if someone puts in a huge block order for options, in a certain expiration date, like they probably know something. I think it's similar with the poly market stuff where they might know something. We should work on building an app for like a scanner of looking for like kind of like Unusual Whales does with unusual option orders or volume.
Right,
Use that
right.
with the poly market premium to see what's going on. But yeah, I stay out of that stuff. I think it's so corrupt, just like insider trading and whatnot that it's just something I would never want to touch with any money that I'd consider for investing. I don't really do look any kind of sports betting or any betting in general. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem good to me or just intriguing just because of how risky it is because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the same could be said for the market, but I feel like that's going to be a little bit less manipulated potentially than the poly market stuff, especially when it's
Well,
government involved.
yeah, and I mean, and two things I would say to that. One is what I'm reminded, or you remind me of what I was talking to my wife's. I guess he's also my cousin. He's more like a nephew. He's younger than our son, but he's about to graduate college. He's heading to graduate school. But we got to talking a little bit about he's been investing actually for several years, and he's actually done some pretty good picks for such a young guy, young career in picking stocks. But smart as a whip. But we got to talking a little bit, and you just reminded me the difference though when you put money down on a poly market bet, that's a real bet, and the casino tells you when that bet's over. It's either after this roll of the dice or after this deal of the hand. The market, at least as long as you're dealing in shares, I don't know what casino lets the gambler decide when the bet is over. You know,
Oh
so
yeah.
so the playing the long term. Direction of the market and investing so that if you may miss time and entry but you still have those shares, and as long as the business is an ongoing concern, the shares don't expire, and they can come back, or as like I was talking with William today, get those shares in 100 share blocks if you can, and just immediately turn around and start selling calls on them to start generating some money back off of off of your, to reduce your cost basis. And at your age or his age, and y'all are both in your 20s, you got so much time to play that game that uh yeah, it's really exciting, man, because there's like Eric said before, there's in one of our interviews, like these capital markets, there's nothing like it in the world what we have here, in the United States, in the way of capital markets. So um
Oh man, I mean shares. Yeah, I mean I'm on that track as well. I feel like shares and index funds, absolutely, unless it's like your highest conviction plays. So like things that I'm really really high convicted in. I definitely do leaps depending on like how much
yeah,
capital I
yep.
allocate. But yeah, CSPs as well, just the sell side of options. I love. What I don't like is any short term covered calls. Or sorry, short term long calls or short term puts on buy side unless I know something's going to happen. So like let's say Ondas is another dilution event. Typically it pumps for about a day or so after that to the public offered price and it sinks for the next month.
Right.
Potentially, I'd be looking, and that's because we know the cyclical nature of the stock. So on something like that, where I understand the stock and its movements from a day to day basis, month to month basis, week to week basis, that's something I might consider, buying some short term options on the call and put side. But otherwise, yeah, I think shares are just great, and just sell side options great. Just to retain your capital and retain what you have. That's the hardest
Yeah.
thing is you got to keep the money and then you got to build off it. So right now as well, it's hard with the market. I mean, there's a lot of volatility. I know I'm holding some leaps right now that are a little bit underwater, just with some of the beatdown that we saw at the beginning of the year. So I'm feeling the pain right now of some leaps. That's why they're not always safe long term, but I do expect them to appreciate in value over the course of the next few months. But you never know. So yeah, shares you never wrong with because there's no expiration. You can hold those for forever if you want.
Yeah, 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 theoretically, and so it's not the same as gambling on that bet, whether or not it rains or whether or not somebody gets elected or whatever. So Oh, hey, I just pulled up a 10-year chart though, and it looks like um the USO, that metric, that US oil, in 2018 was about $126 a barrel. So we that's the last time it was this high. It's 2018 in the last
Really?
10 years, yeah.
Let me, for some reason, I didn't have it on my trading view. I wanted to look at, okay, yeah. So I'm showing for just like crude oil futures. I'm showing it at $1.15. Looks like it's at $1.12. I think Gecko said that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that yeah, it's just a different metric. 'Cause that's what I used to track oil. So I was like, when you said it was at like 130, I was like,
Yeah,
what?
no,
And I was like, oh my
yeah.
goodness, something must have happened. Like they
Right.
must have, they must have acted on that tweet or something because that is, I think it went up to like 120 something, at least on the futures side of things for like crude. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, what are your predictions for this week? So I was honestly expecting a little bit of a dump after that morning tweet, but we're kind of moving up in the futures
Right.
part of it. I mean, I think we might actually kind of pump in over the London session and Asia session overnight, and then I'm thinking it's we might potentially dump in the morning, depending. Right now, I think it's just you almost got to inverse what you think's actually going to happen because obviously retail is being used as excellent liquidity for everything for all institutions, and I think we are really going to see another kind of rally up, and then but I think it's going to be a dead cat bounce. So I think after that we're going to trend down because what is going
Right.
to prop up the market? I know like the jobs report was good, there's data there, but what is going to prop up the market over the next 6 months, especially with this conflict going on? I just don't see it. So I think there's a few sectors that are good. Things we're in energy, defense, great places to be. But any kind of lucrative or not lucrative, like luxury good or things you just don't need, non essentials are really going to get beat down here.
And
Probably.
even the essentials, with um just the high cost of oil and
Yeah.
the diesel and everything that runs off of that on the production side. um I didn't realize how much aluminum or alumina came out of the it's so energy intensive, and they've got so much available there with the natural gas and whatnot in the Gulf, but a lot of aluminum comes out of the Gulf. um
Yeah. No,
Get
oil
labor
seeps into
refined.
everything. It's kind of crazy. It
Yeah,
finds some way into every industry. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so, I think I get the feeling that the market wants to blow past this, and not worry about it because it's been rolling pretty good for the last several years. And when you see the last couple of dips, the last one being Liberation Day a year ago, and then it's climbed back up and it's turned down and almost like it wants to bounce, but
Mhm.
there's we need the rest of the world to be doing well too, to some extent. And even if we don't get our oil from the Gulf, if it's going to help the domestic oil producers, their stocks and their margins, for sure. Because if oil's too cheap, they got to start, shutting production down. Because it needs a certain level. But at these high prices here, you just wonder when that demand destruction or that recession inducing action, when oil prices skyrocket like this, and then the uncertainty on top of that. I'm just sort of sitting tight, man, in the drones and defense stocks that we have. Uh, you know, because ah, you know, you could see it going south, and you could also see it just sort of pumping up a little bit, right? After this, pullback and the rise in oil prices here the last month or so. Um, I'm surprised that we haven't seen a deeper drawdown. Sometimes.
I thought we would have seen a deeper drawdown by now as well. And I was just like pulling up this SP 500 futures charts over the last 5 years, and so we have like some weekly. These are weekly candles here. This is looking at the April bounce, and this is looking at the most recent drawdown. I mean, I think we had like 5 6 weeks of just complete downtrend, and
Yeah.
this was our most recent uptick here, and it looks like there is a potential for a reversal. Though I was really expecting a farther drawdown before that happened, so I'm still kind of bearish on the market. I think that we're going to see a deeper retracement before going up, but I think we are going to go up. Obviously, I mean that's what the trend's been since the inception of the stock market. So
Yeah.
stock market goes up. So that's why I'm still, long everything. I think there's some great buying opportunities now. It's not guaranteed that we're going to keep going down. It's just the general macro kind of looks that way still. So unless we hear something big out of Iran and there is some, ceasing of the conflict, I think we are going to keep that, steady downward pace. But I definitely thought we'd kind of drop farther by now. And the fact we didn't is, it's interesting for sure. So
Yeah.
no one knows the future, but I mean, I'm loving those like those early to mid 2027 and then just 2028 leaps right now. So I may be rolling some of my ONDS leaps 2028.
It's almost time to start getting excited for another Ondas earnings call.
Yeah,
The quarter just ended, so come on, Neil, let's start crunching the numbers.
I am excited. I mean, Friday or excuse me, Thursday was a great day for the market, at least in the stocks we had. I mean, we saw some nice rallies, and I really do
Yeah.
think that Ondas has reached kind of its low, and that we're going to see a trend up to maybe that $12 level. We really do need to break through that $12.50 level to see 14 again, and then new all-time highs. But right now, it's looking good. So I do think that because we broke out of this channel here from early April, that we are going to move up to probably 11.50 or 12 here soon. But I think the bottom is in around that $7 mark. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
not worried about the leaps I purchased for it. And I'm pretty excited if you got in around there with leaps around that $7.50 level, or again with some leveraged ONDL, you're probably sitting pretty right now.
So
But I
one
mean,
thing I've noticed, yeah, one thing I've noticed with Ondas last week was, and not so much on Friday because there's some pretty good volume it seemed came in toward especially the second half of the day, sort of kept it from that end of the week dump. But on Thursday, it didn't make the top 10. If I'm right, I'm pretty sure I remember this right. Believe it was Thursday. They didn't make the top 10 on the most actives list. And so they've been trading that 10-day average has gotten up to like 90 million, and they
yep,
were under that every day. Dropped off the most actives list on Thursday, I think it was, and almost came off of it on Friday, though it seemed like most of the volume was a little bit depressed. It wasn't a huge volume day all the way around. But it got up to like 70 million shares, if I remember right. But anyway, I'm hoping that that would be a good sign if we can maintain the price without dropping too much. So yet we
yep,
saw volume coming down. That might set us up for a bit of a squeeze with some good news with the first quarter earnings. I just get that feeling that the stock just wants to make another leg up, and it's been rejected down off of that 15, and it would be happy if it could get up there and stay in that 12, above 12 range, um, and really challenge that 15 more going into the second quarter, second half of the
mhm.
year. Just my
Yeah, man,
feeling.
we have to watch that short interest too. If we see that short interest start to come down, it's kind of a ticking time bomb to the upside. So
Right.
I think the other wild card to watch for is Mistral. I mean, they're in the government. They have the clearance for those big government contracts, already involved in $1 billion contracts with like UVision for the loitering munitions. So that's kind of just a dark horse where we could just randomly see, a huge contract come in that Mistral led with like the FAA or something like that for centric systems and Iron Drone systems that will just absolutely blow the stock out of the water. So it's definitely something that I have a lot of. The majority of one of my retirements was actually in ONDS, so I'm definitely bullish on it long term. Definitely highest conviction play with Lightpath and UMAC right around that same level. But it's one that could just go 30% in a day if we get that big news. So
Yeah.
and
Hey,
then which could happen any day.
how about Safe Pro? It got down to that 350 that remember we talked about last week. You really said you liked that, did you? Did you
Yep,
pick any up?
I did, and so actually, I told my parents actually to grab some too, so they're pretty happy with their entry on Safe Pro. It
Nice.
tapped in right at that nice 350 level, a little bit lower than that, and then just kind of started its recovery up. So yeah, Safe Pro at 350 if you got in there per that sheet that we put out. I mean, you're probably gonna be pretty happy with that long term. So Safe Pro. The only crappy thing is that you can't buy leaps, but shares are always great. You're not worried
Yeah.
about an expiration date. Uh, but yeah, that one's just shares as there's no option chain. But yeah, if you can get in Safe Pro under 4, you should be pretty excited about that. I think long term, they're starting to see some contracts, and their return on delivery of contracts is like within a week. So it's very good in terms of production. As long as they can get contracts, they can make those contracts whole quickly, and they could churn through revenue very quickly. So yeah, Safe Pro, great investment under four, or even to like 450. I still like it, but I'd target under four for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That did you see some of that teaser news about the perhaps the Ondas networks being the network the bandwidth they would use for the drone
Yep.
uh air traffic control?
The dot 16 stuff. I saw some
Yeah.
of that on X. Yeah, and yeah, I know with the rail stuff, it's very slow moving. So I'm very excited about it. It's just I don't know when it's going to actually impact revenue. But if it does and it is used, then I think that'll meet some headlines. And people underestimate how much money is in the rail business for Ondas networks. I mean, it's in like the billions. So
Yeah.
I think it's just the sleeper right now of the entire Ondas ecosystem, and we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that whole idea of being of using that some of that bandwidth on the for the air traffic control frequencies around the drone air drone traffic around the FAA spaces, that's some pretty important stuff
Mhm.
uh
Mhm.
to get right. Um but man, that would probably dwarf the railroads,
Oh
um,
yeah,
usage
100%.
there, and that way that would certainly get some people's attention. Put Ondas Networks on the map there. Um,
I'm sure the commercial drone alliance is in their ears, and as we know, Eric Brock is the chair for that, and we know that with
right.
with transportation, which of course is going to affect like railroad networks, and the FAA, which was also there, they were using Ondas drones as their as their examples, along with like Wing, who is used with like DoorDash and Walmart. So I mean, these are AAA businesses, massive, large caps, and
Yeah,
Ondas is just in there as one of these small cap companies that is taking center stage. So that's why I'm saying with this, it's kind of the powder keg with ONDS, where it's just gonna go one day. So it's a lot of chop right now, a lot of volatility, but at some point it's gonna go, and then it's gonna find a new floor, probably like the 20s or something. So
mhm,
we don't know when. No one knows when. It's government contract, so it's gonna happen when it happens. It's just something that you probably, or at least I want exposure to, and I do have exposure to quite a bit of, just for the long term, because it's one that does, high conviction. And it's looking like it's going to be one of those winners, maybe of like the 5 to 10 companies that actually come out on top of the small cap drone race that we've heard about.
yeah. That's the plan.
Yep.
That's the plan.
Swapping from drones for a sec, I still like gold a lot. So the more that the conflict goes on and isn't resolved, gold, I think, is going to be a solid investment. Right now, there has been a massive drawdowns on it. We did get that floor around 4,000, but I think leaps on gold is definitely going to be a nice play over the next year or so, especially if you can get it below 5,000. So that's one that I'm also eyeing for some leaps, and then just to probably purchase some because if this doesn't get resolved and this bear market ensues, at least in the short term, I think gold's going to keep going up.
Yeah,
Liquid gold, oil, but I'm not going to play oil, obviously. Oil is a nice little short term swing, but I wouldn't want to. You're going to nuke your port if you hold oil long, because it's randomly going to crash once things get opened up. So yeah, I would definitely stay away from oil
yeah.
unless
It
it's.
could happen so fast too. Even
Mhm.
on fake news. I don't mean that in the wrong in a some kind of charged way,
Yeah,
but if it's just a false report comes out, that could take over the news cycle for a couple of hours and then just totally get reversed. So,
yeah. Yep. I
but
guess
I
I'll
like
pull up.
gold too.
What was that?
I said I like gold too, and I guess silver has actually lagged this little bounce that gold has seen the last couple of weeks, the last 10 days or so. Off of that low or that drawback down to like 37, didn't it?
I remember talking about silver when we were in West Palm Beach for the Ondas interview stuff. I know Josh was talking about it a lot, but it was. I mean, that volatility was crazy. That run up to 110, and then just the drop off, and now we're seeing a little bit of downward. trend with some chop. But yeah, I think silver is at a decent level here where you could consider a buy for sure. I just don't know enough about silver to get into it. That's why
Right.
I leave
Right.
that for the metal experts. We'll leave that for Carly, the
Yeah. Yeah.
macro. Yep.
For real.
And I guess so. I'm gonna submit an article. I just didn't want to submit it, during the live stream, so it should be going out about 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Right.
It's a new ticker that I've mentioned a little bit in some posts, but it's Lantronics.
Yeah.
So they're doing like that physical AI. I know, Eric talked about them. Eric Brock, CEO of Ondas, when we were down there, how they're kind of making moves in that edge AI and physical AI, and AI moving more from like a cloud server to actual physical objects and like autonomous robotics and drones and things like that. So this is definitely a company that I like right now at the price point. Because it was at those highs near $9, and now we're all the way down near five. I mean,
Right.
reasons why will be in the article, but yeah, this is one that I've been watching that I see no one covering. I actually looked on Substack for the ticker, and there's not a single article recently that covered this company. So
Nice.
the
Yeah.
one I like for sure.
Hey, that's what we're supposed to be about though, right? Is finding these hidden gems.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah, and then, yeah, 0 hour going out to interview them. Absolutely. I
right.
like them just on the software side of things. Anything to do with software and like AI, if they can actually make it work, I mean, those profit margins are crazy. So
Right.
I
Right.
love seeing high margin stuff, especially when it's undervalued in an emerging sector. So this is one that is definitely on my radar for a potential buy here now.
Yeah, I like the chart too. It's just sort of a steady up over, from up from $2 a year ago. Um, and down off of that 8 something high. So, yeah, I like the way that looks as well. And, if someone's hooked up with Eric and Ondas, they're worth taking a look at just on
Oh yeah.
that merit.
Well, these guys actually have deals and partnerships with Unusual Machines and SPAI. That's kind of how they
Right.
got on my radar originally, along with Eric. But yeah, I mean, the chart looks prime right now. We definitely had a little bit of a head and shoulders, but it looks like we're kind of hitting that lower end with a potential accumulation and bounce. Of course, looks like it's probably safest around about 450, but it's definitely looking like it's kind of at the bottom of that accumulation. We'll see if the general macro trend kind of drags it down, but with the macro trend, I mean, we'll see what happens because right now you'd think out those tweets and things, we'd see things dropping off or rallying after markets. So um, I think a lot of people are bearish. There's a lot of doomsaying. We could still continue to go down, but the market, is in an eternal uptrend, at least for the history of it. So
Right.
a lot of these small caps are getting beaten down right now that are hurting our reports. I think are really going to explode once we hit the next growth phase.
That
And
and that's
yeah,
something
I should say.
and
Oh,
that's
go ahead.
something I talked with young William today about too, about having about being disciplined enough to hold cash because for picking up good deals, especially on stocks that you already know and like, and not just sort of chasing what looks cheap, but um, you know, when the overall market is beating down a group of stocks and sectors all at once, you know that everybody's sort of getting beat up, the good among the bad as well, and but it doesn't do you any good if you don't have any money to buy any of it when it's down
Mhm.
at these good prices and like that, Lantronix right now, 10% down from where it closed Friday is pretty much where it was back in August of 25, So it's almost like, like you're buying it at those prices, anytime between now and a 10% drawdown from here. So, uh, yeah, I like that chart a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, that covers the importance of, yeah, holding cash, then also, letting your winners run, but taking them at a reasonable profit. Like when my
Yeah,
leads are up 75 to 100%, I'm looking to take profit there. Or if I'm still really bullish on it, I'm setting some sort of trailing stop. Because I've let winners that have got over 200% go back down to actually being losers because I was in denial of, oh, it's going to go back up when it's not. So
right,
you got to have
right.
good management. You got to, if you get those big winners, you got to have stops in place to take that profit. And I think that's actually a skill that you can really learn and pick up if you do some day trading. So, because that's all about risk to reward, risk management, and securing and locking in that profit. So,
Right.
yeah, this one was one that, yeah, that would suck if you were holding it since August 2025. It went, almost doubled up near nine, actually did double. And
Right.
then we're back down to what it was a year ago. And you could have just bought back in with double the amount. And it's
Right.
always hindsight 2020, but you got to have that in mind before of what am I happy with taking? And you really should have the trade mapped out prior to actually entering it.
Yeah, yeah, and if you're long in the stock, all of that looks like it was really pretty good times to be selling calls.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they got called away on a couple of those spikes, if you're patient and you maintain some cash, yeah, you could jump right back in, at something close to what you paid for it back in August. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, but
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
when you're, the best thing is holding those shares and then making those shares pay along the way. When you know a stock and you're long in it, if it's just a trade, it's just a trade. But if it's an investment, there's ways to, and that's what I'm going to be looking to do more of, just like Young Ember did with Ondas, and
Oh, yeah.
selling those calls on these pumps, um, and stay
That was a
long the
class
stock.
act he did there. Well, didn't he get like 100,000 or 150,000 in covered call premium, and he was able to buy them all back for like pennies on the dollar? It was some
Yeah.
ridiculous amount on his shares.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, for sure. And so I don't know, does Lantronix have any options on it?
Um, I believe it does. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have my brokerage open. I haven't purchased it yet, just because I'm watching for a potential like 450. But
Right.
I don't know if I don't have my brokerage open. You got me on the spot. Let me check quick.
Oh,
Let
my
me check.
bad, my bad. I'm trying to do mine, and like I said
I
earlier, my
feel
big
like it
screen's not
does.
working.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it on route. I use my retirement's all through a different broker, but my challenge ports and gem vault and stuff is all on
Yeah,
the.
yeah, I've found some options here, at least through September, April, May, June, and September. So that doesn't look like a lot of open interest yet, but that could change quick.
I mean, no one's heard of it. That's these hidden gems. No
Right.
one's known about it. I mean, unusual machines used to be like that too, where there was barely any option dates, expiration dates on there, and
Mhm.
now it's like, okay, we got a ton of new ones, ton of new strikes as well, and there's still low volume on those. So we try to find these things early before others do. And a lot of time we have. I mean, we've had a very, very, very successful track record with finding Ondas, Lightpath, UMAC, SPI, and these ones that have really, really moved. Even SRFM before that one turned into a bit of a bag fold. I mean, that thing was up.
Don't forget Amperis.
Yeah, AMPX, Amprius. That was what probably that was my biggest winner this year. That was up 145% before we saw some reversal. That and UMAC were my big ones for 2026. Expecting the other ones to follow, but that's why you gotta take profit too. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
UMAC. I put out that sell signal around $23, which is about the high, and now we're down to 1360. I think we're a little bit up over that, but that's why you got to take that profit. Then you got to reinvest low. So we were able to get into some leaps at decent strikes that I liked when it was around like $14 to $12 levels. So yeah, you got to find that value. You got to ride up, sell it, get back in. And then what you
Yep.
mentioned with the covered calls, I actually love that with these really volatile ones. Like if it's run way past where it should, you actually sell those covered calls deeper in the money. You get a massive premium. It drops, and then you buy it back after. And
Right.
I love that strategy for like an honest dilution, because you're gonna see that public offering price. It's gonna be a couple bucks probably above what the current price is. You get that pump up, a couple days after, and people are riding that high of, okay, there's this huge news, huge investment, people love it. But then the shorts attack it, because the shorts who are buying that huge offering need to hedge their investment. So
Right.
then they short, like what was happening now with the short attack that just brought it way down. You just sell those covered calls in the money, and oh, hey, okay, now we're actually down, and those deep in the money calls are actually out of the money now, and then you can buy them back for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So I love that strategy for some of these. If you instead of selling the shares, if you do want to sell covered calls to keep them, definitely selling them deeper in the money. So they're looking for that higher value. But yeah, I think right now it's like we have a long weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff to discuss this week. We do have a special guest coming on next week. I don't know if we want to announce who that is now, or if we want to keep it secret, until a couple days before. But we got a
Right.
big guest on that we're excited to talk with. That everyone here who's from After Hour knows.
Yeah.
He's a fun guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I've been trying to think up some good questions for him, 'cause,
Oh,
he's a
other
funny guy,
questions.
but I wanna be serious too, and get some good info.
Oh, absolutely. Any guesses in the comments right now of who we're bringing on? I'm not going to confirm who it is, but I want to see if anyone gets it right. Who do you think we're bringing on the show from After Hour? And then also, as they're doing that, I mean, I think we kind of discussed the main things we want to, what we like right now, new ones. I know there'll be a new article out coming soon. We announced last week the Zero Hour website has gotten some updates, and we're still working on getting that up. Uh, yeah, there's more content coming. We have another Ondas interview coming, I think, this week as well, which we're really excited to release. Uh, And yeah, I think right now we can just take some questions. If anyone's got questions, let's hear them, and then I think we can call it there. I think we usually go like an hour and a half now, or hour and 15, but I think tonight we kind of got this is a nice quicker one, because I think we got everything that we needed to talk about. It is not free ball. It is not free ball. It is not free
Yeah,
ball.
you said you weren't gonna confirm who it was, but you will
Oh,
confirm who is not, eh?
this is a large creator, large creator. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what would happen if Free Baller came on. Yeah, I feel like we start talking about something random, and then our show would get canceled. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful.
Hey, I'm not sure what Gecko's talking about there, but I
He's
did
he's
not see that. Of course, I haven't
oh
been on the phone much today. There's been a lot of family stuff today, so, uh
Yeah, no, Gecko, sorry, I saw your question on that in the Discord, but I just had stuff going on. It just slipped my mind. I'm not too worried about that, just because the NYPD is getting on it, and we're going to see probably some of that stuff in Boston. I don't think it's really make or break if it's like one police force using centric stuff. I don't see it as like a massive form of revenue. Obviously, we'd like to see that, and it would be a good thing. But I'm really kind of hoping that they get these pushes with the FAA and kind of more airport stuff, just because it looks like the revenue from those are going to be a lot higher than if it was just like centrics with the police force. So not too worried about that, but still something that's, something to look at for sure. East Coast though, I think we're going to see some adoptions. That's where kind of Ondas is based, not where it grew up. What I really want to see though, I mean, Centrix is great. It's my second favorite acquisition behind Mistral. I want to see more Iron Drone, because Iron Drone is definitely very expensive. It definitely demands a premium, which is maybe why we haven't seen this much. But I want to see more Iron Drone used. My thought is right now, a lot of the police forces and things, because they're underfunded, are using Skidio drones and drones that have to be actually launched by a person and then come back down. While Ondas things, you see in some of the 0 hour clips with like the Optimus stuff, or the Iron Drone is drone in a box. It's launching on its own, it's coming back on its own, it's swapping components on its own. There's no human interaction, which is very good because it means there's a lot less like control risk for something bad happening, or someone falling asleep, or someone not coming in. It removes a lot of risk from the table, but you have to pay a premium for that. So the issue is all these places are underfunded. They can't afford the Ondas stuff. The Ondas stuff is better. But once we see some regulations where you need this type of COAS from like the government to actually fall in with the compliance, you're going to see an uptick in Ondas products. So that's something that's going to take time, but Ondas is definitely going to lead the way on that. So a lot of the stuff right now, in my opinion, is being bottlenecked by regulation on this network stuff. Because it's all government related. Governments move slow with this kind of thing, but it's definitely something that's going to happen. Knowing when is the hard part, so we'll keep our eyes and ears open. But appreciate the question on that. What we'll say, okay, we won't say who it is. The person that we're bringing on does have more than 10,000 followers. We'll say that. That's gonna bring it down a little bit. So it's up in the air. Lauren Savay said, "Do you see the BMS Invest post about the 2.5 billion cash raise behind Worldview? Excuse me. Also, real-time ISR for the win. The airman lift yesterday proved why it's so crucial. Worldview will be our wedge into the market. Yes, that's like the multi-domain ISR stuff. Worldview is huge. Whoever watched, was there with us that morning with the earnings call and some of the posts after with the interview with the Worldview CEO. You guys will know that they think the Worldview revenue is going to outpace Onda's entire market cap eventually here. That also opens up, Golden Dome stuff, and I think with the Golden Dome means gold. I think Golden Dome and money and gold is synonymous because of how much money is going into that program. So these small caps, if they even get a little sniff of it, just a whiff, I mean that's a quarter or their entire market cap in like one deal. So those are just huge things to watch, huge opportunities. I think we're gonna have the drones here, and then we're gonna have space as well as a big trend, and then like the EV maybe after that. So any kind of the space stuff and where like the multi-domain stuff combines is going to be really big. So I think Ondas is going to get a piece of that. I mean, like Lightpath is going to get a piece of that with their new satellite glass that they're making for those components. That's hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. It's just really exciting stuff now for space, aerospace, defense, things like that we kind of cover. So those are going to be huge, huge markets going forward, and Ondas is going to get a piece. And honestly, Benny, we have to. I know we talk about Ondas a lot and how we like it. I feel like we're like Chris Collinsworth, on ESPN with Mahomes. And we're
Right,
like,
right.
oh, Mahomes this, Mahomes that, Honestly, this, that. But their acquisitions have been excellent. Like, I really
Yeah,
feel like every single dilution event, dilution is never something you want to see. But the fact they've gotten all these high quality companies, the revenue's seen that much of an uptick, and then they still have this huge pro forma cash position. I mean, companies don't have the ability or the cash flow to stay on the level that they are for that market cap. So I mean, it's just
yeah,
going to be something huge long term, which is obviously why, even though I've already gotten about a 13, no, it was 2,400% or something multi bagger, I'm still buying
yeah,
because it just, I mean, I don't see an invalidation of the thesis, especially at these levels. I mean, analysts are projecting like 18 on the low end, and we're half of that right now.
right.
Honestly, my long term target's $100, but we'll see. We'll see. Very
Yeah,
bullish.
I think it's realistic, and the acquisitions that they're making are not just helter skelter. They're really integrating a complete system of systems type approach. Um, that and that worldview that is pretty massive. Being able to move those satellites around or those balloons around,
Mhm.
to give that really persistent um, surveillance. That's irreplaceable. You gotta see it to shoot it. You gotta see it to save it. You gotta see it first. No matter what you want to do. So, um, yeah, it's exciting stuff, man. I mean, yeah,
I mean, it's exciting with like the stuff going on in the US, but also you got to think of their system of systems approach. They're kind of offering the full package as we're seeing NATO and allies in like Europe and
oh
Asia
yeah,
trying to get an uptick in their defense. And we're kind of selling
mhm,
this full package pre ready to go for them.
yeah,
That's huge. I don't think
yeah,
people have that priced at all. I mean, they could have these huge contracts, which is like, I need you to set up this whole border security for us because we're seeing Russian drone incursions, for example. We're already
and
seeing it happen in Germany. We have
that's the
Onberg.
other part of it too, is
Yep.
that the threat is real,
Yep.
and it's
And it's
just
more
happening.
real over there, I'd say, than here right now. That's the thing, is it's more real in Europe, and you're seeing them purchase this stuff and get ahead of the trend while America's still adapting. And America's obviously the biggest defense spender by far. But as that becomes more real here, we're going to see an uptick. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're definitely well positioned. So, um, yeah, I just looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I saw CNBC. I think CNBC had Eric come on and yeah, the Worldview CEO. Does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, I think we'll call it here at about an hour.
Yeah,
Uh,
call it a happy Easter. I think
Happy Easter.
everybody's
Absolutely.
fat and happy tonight.
And everyone that's still watching, if you could just hit that like button next to the Writing the chat really helps us. We're starting to see some impact on YouTube. We're gaining a bit of a following over there. We're really trying to grow all the platforms. We love doing this. Right now, on some of the content, like Zero Hour Self, we've been doing it for free and out of our pockets. So any kind of help with just clicking the like button for free or subscribing to the YouTube or watching the X is really helpful for us. So really appreciate all the support. Also, share it with your friends.
Yeah,
If your friends are like, oh,
absolutely.
well, share it with your friends, share it with your family, your doctor, your financial advisor. No, your financial advisor probably hate this. They don't like the small cap, but yeah, some of the stuff we probably know more than them. Not the majority, but some stuff for sure.
Yeah, well, a lot of their blue chips were small caps at one time, and had their believers and their detractors. So,
Nvidia 2019, man.
yeah, yeah,
I had a buddy online who worked for an airline. He was a pilot, and he got I think 400,000 shares of Nvidia in 2019. He was trying to tell us to buy it, and it was a bunch of gamers. And the gamers were buying it because it was graphics cards for their computers, and they had no idea that it was those graphics cards were going to be the power chips of AI. But that guy saw the thing, and
yeah.
obviously he doesn't even work anymore. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we're doing that here for drones. Obviously, we're not predicting this to be the next Nvidia. Nothing's going to be the next Nvidia, but I think we could. I think honestly, Ondas could potentially be the next Palantir. So that's being thrown around lightly right now, but I think it's a possibility in the next 5 to 10 years. So we'll see. And a lot of these companies work with that are gonna go up with the trend. So I think we're predicting this trend well, and I think it's going to play out how we think.
Oh yeah, yeah. Drones have changed and will change a lot before it's finished.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Gecko. Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate all your guys' questions and for coming on the live stream. Um, Going forward, we are going to be doing live earnings calls for like all the major companies that we cover. So look forward to that. Article on Lantronix is going to be coming out tomorrow morning for you guys. I'm just finishing up the editing right now,
Nice.
and more 0 hour content coming. Hopefully, we get back on X with like BMS Invest and J Investing. That was fun that we got to go on for their call, and we're just going to keep getting more ingrained with the community and beyond. And we'll have that special guest for you guys to discuss probably some sell side option stuff and just general macro next week. So that'll be a fun show. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, looking forward to it myself, man. And that
Yeah.
Lantonics article. Yeah, I'm gonna look into them pretty a little bit more deeply as well on my end.
Oh yeah, no, I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know, and I really got into that edge AI. Otherwise, I was like physical AI and like how that's important because AI
Right.
right now is just thrown around, but actually understanding and seeing the use case for a specific type of AI is
Yeah.
very interesting and relevant, and it's going to be huge, huge, huge for autonomous systems. So it's going to tie into all this stuff. So it's very exciting, and yeah, that'll be out that tomorrow morning pre-market for y'all.
Right on. Right on. Well, I appreciate everyone as well. And just looking forward to more.
Love it. All right, guys, check out the new 0 Hour website if you haven't, and we will talk to you soon.
Right on. Right on. Happy Easter, everyone.
Yes, happy Easter. Happy Easter. And be careful in the market tomorrow with the crazy stuff going on. Be very careful. Stop losses, everyone. Stop losses. All right.
Right on. We'll see you later.
See ya.